Okay, we ended off yesterday on Nun Amid Beis. I briefly went through the interaction between Rebbe and Rav Bar Kapara concerning the Chasana. I told you we'd get back to it, so let's redo it again. We're going to have a series of interactions between Rebbe and his Talmud Bar Kapara. I think a good way to introduce this is that there are different ways to serve Hashem. Rebbe was the Gadol Hador, he was the leader of world Jewry. And he felt that he had to keep a certain level of seriousness. Bar Kapara was by nature a batchen. He was a happy person, and by weddings you'd have batchanis. He was a batchen, and therefore we begin with Rebbe not inviting Bar Kapara to the wedding because he was scared that Bar Kapara would do batchanis, and Rebbe wanted to, because of, as we're going to see in the Gemara, because of Rebbe being the Maimid, the pillar of the generation, he had to make sure that levity was not so much part of his life. So let's begin. We're going to begin on Nun Amid Beis. Nun Amid Beis, a few lines from the bottom. It says, Rebbe Avalei Hilul Reb Shimon. Rebbe, he went ahead. Avalei Hilul, he made a wedding with Reb Shimon Rebbe for his son. So Kosav, and he didn't invite Bar Kapara. And look at the Mefarish, guys. Why didn't he invite Bar Kapara? Right to the left side, it's going to make Rebbe laugh. And as we're going to see in the Gemara, Rebbe preferred not to laugh. So that's why he didn't invite him. It wasn't malicious, it was with a cheshbon. And now, as a result, Kosev Bar Kapara wrote, Al Beis Genana, on the house where the chuppah was going to be, Esrim va'aboy alofim ribuyin, I said that's 24 million dinarim, nafko Beis Genana dain. So it is, of course, a bit of a guzman about the money spent, but the Maharsha says that it's speaking not only for the wedding, but for the housing as well. They bought the house, and therefore, thus the tremendous expenditure of money. It wasn't limited to the wedding party itself. So Amalei Imla Oivre Ritzoinikach says Bar Kapara to Rebbe, if people who go against Hashem's will by not inviting me, and look at the wealth you have, La'oisei Ritzoinoi, to those people who do the Ratzon HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Alachas Kama V'Kama, how much wealthier they'll be. So Bar Kapara seems to giving Rebbe a shtach for not inviting him to the Chasana. And look at the Rebbe's wealth. Now, Alachas Kama V'Kama, had you invited me to the Chasana, your wealth would be even greater. So Asmin, as a result, Rebbe invited Bar Kapara. Now Bar Kapara showed up, and Bar Kapara said to Rebbe, to Mishabeach Rebbe for inviting him, those who do his ratzon in this world, because you invited me to the Suda, so he kind of was Matthias Rebbe with this appeasement of that he was Mishabeach him for inviting him. The Gemara says the day that Rebbe would go ahead and laugh and feel simcha, that would be it would be for the world. It would somehow bring a promise to the world. The Gemara in Ayin Metzia that Pehei, that Rebbe accepted Yisurim upon himself to be mechapa for his dar. Rebbe, we saw at the end of the Gemara, Makkas guys, and the Ksubis, the terrible Yisurim that Rebbe went through. He said everything was the Shem Shemayim. Rebbe was a person who he was Mekabel Yisurim Ma'ava, but if he was the schayik that he would feel would be detrimental to the dar, because he is being mechapa for the generation. If he would go ahead and be misimcha, mischaik, it doesn't say simcha. I'm sure he would do as Hashem simcha, but schaik, that is that he didn't want to indulge in, and therefore, thus he avoided the batchin Bar Kapara. And as we're going to see, it plays out in the Gemara that there was batchanis. Anyway, you and the mechayich be Rebbe, ask your pranis la'olma. So Amalei Bar Kapara loy tavdichan. He said, I invited you to the wedding, but do not go ahead and make me laugh. But and I'll give you 40 measurements of chitin. Now, he didn't say what 40 measurements of what? 40 gallons, 40 pints, 40 pounds. He didn't say what. He just said 40 of any measurement of chitin if you don't make me laugh. Anyway, again, remember, keep in mind, Bar Kapara had a whole different philosophy behind he felt that schayk was part and parcel of Yiddishkeit, that he felt is important. Yesh v'yesh, guys, and that's the conversation over here. Yesh v'yesh, Rebbe's mahalach versus Bar Kapara's mahalach. But chas v'shalom, that Bar Kapara in any shape or form did not hold Rebbe the Gadol Hador. Rabbeinu Kodesh, they called him Rabbeinu Kodesh for a reason, and therefore, so he told him, don't loy tavdichan. and I'll give you 40 grivin chitim. Okay, Amalei Bakar said lich seimar. Okay, Amid Aleph. The kol grivin ve'ina shekilna. You're offering me, so whichever gradation of measurement, I'll decide. That's what he told him. Shakal dikula rabba. What did Bakapara do? He took a big basket, a wicker basket, and chafia kufra. He went ahead and lined it with tar to ensure that nothing would drip out. The sachve al reishe, and then he placed it on top of his head. There's two pshatim. Either he inverted it and he carried it inverted, and therefore he couldn't hold anything, or he put it on top of his head. Right? That's my Shah says he put it on top of his head. Other people say he just inverted it. The also of Amalei, and he went and said, Lech limar abayim grivi chite de Rashinabach. Go ahead and measure me off 40 grivim with this measurement. Now, if it's inverted, it doesn't hold anything. If it's on his head, it doesn't hold anything. So what happened? So Rabbi began to laugh. In other words, it was a joke. Rabbi began to laugh. So Amalei told him, Lava hazartoch deloy tebatchon. Didn't I tell you not to make me laugh? So Amalei Bakapor said to Rabbi, no, chiti darshina kaznestiv. No, I'm not asking you for any new chitim. I want, you owe me chitim, give me chitim. Okay, very, again, kind of hard to picture what's going on over here. And it gets a little worse, what Bakapor is about to do to Rabbi. Anyway, Amalei Bakapor lebarte, the Rabbi said, Bakapor to the daughter of Rabbi, Lemacha shasinu chanra, tomorrow at your brother's wedding, I'm going to drink wine, with your father dancing in front of me. And with your mother literally singing or croaking or dancing, different opinions in front of me. And we're going to have to see as it possible to belittle this woman and have this done, especially when it's in, Kol Bisha era. We'll see a rifa. Anyway. So if you look at the Ran, the fourth line down, when I'm drinking the wine, your father will dance in front of me. She'll go ahead and literally croak him as Ameris and sing. A little schwer to say that, we'll get back to this again, what exactly he expects to do. Anyway, what happened? Ben Elasa Chasne de Rebbe Havi. Ben Elasa was the son-in-law of Rebbe. V'asher Gadol Havi. And he was an exceedingly wealthy person. And Rebbe was wealthy, and it seems Ben Elasa was V'asher Gadol Havi. Mashma, he was even wealthier. Azmei Lebehi Lula de Reb Shimon Rebbe. He was invited to this wedding. And Amalei Bar Kapara LeRebbe Ma Toyeva. Now the Torah says by the parsha of our President Biden's favorite law, that of homosexuality, right? To matter it. So therefore, it says in the pasuk, "V'isha sheyishka v'sacher," a man is with another man. Mishkve isha toyeva asu. Shnei amos yimuson. He's doing a toyeva. They both should die. So Rebbe Bar Kapara asked Rebbe, what's the etymology of the word toyeva? Right? What's the etymology of the word toyeva? That's what he asked Rebbe. And Rebbe offered up some answers. So he said to him, Ma toyeva, and called Amalei Rebbe the hachin hu toyeva parche Bar Kapara. Whatever he told him, Bar Kapara had a question on. Whatever he told me, had a question. So Amalei, so Rebbe said to Bar Kapara, Parshe at, so you explain it. So Amalei Bar Kapara said, Teisi the vischi tirmili datla. That tell your wife to come and pour for me wine. So Asa Ramile, she came and she poured wine for him. Amalei Bar Kapara said, Rebbe, kum rakali de emalach. Go dance in front of me and I'll tell you. So Hachi, and he did. Rebbe's covered at Torah. Rebbe the Gadol Adar, Rebbe the Nasi Adar is dancing in front of Bar Kapara. So Hachi Amar Rachmanullah. Toyeva is Toya Ataba. You're making a mistake. You're turning away. In other words, you're turning away from normal, what is considered the norm, being with a woman and going to a man. So that's Lashon. The Nutricon goes of Toyeva, Toya Ataba. It's a contraction of three words. Toya Ataba. That's where Toyeva comes from. Anyway, Lekosach, now Bar Kapara wanted some more. So he brought him another some more wine. So Amalei Bar Kapara said, "My tevel." The pasuk says, "B'chol behema leisite and shaftchol l'tama ba, v'ish leisama l'fei behema l'riva tevelhu." A woman should not be in front of an animal that's considered tevel. Tevel, not to be confused with tevel with a test. This is tevel with a tough. Tevel. So what's the explanation? Amalei ki inyana kadma. Right, but what happened before? So you go ahead. So Amalei Ivdali, go ahead like before. Give me a case of wine and dance in front of me, and your wife should pour for me. So the Amalek Tevel Ovid Rami Rabbi did whatever he wanted, and Amalei Tevel who Tavlin Yeshba. Is there any spice by being with an animal? Mishanya Hada Bia Min Kula Bias. What's the what are you doing that? Why would you do that? What's more of that than normal things? So that's what Tevelu, Lashon Tevel, Tavlin. What's the spice of this disgusting thing to be done? You're turning away from normalcy, and Tevel, this is a spicy thing being with an animal. So Amalei Bakapar said to Rebbe, Umay Zima, the third pasuk, Al Techales Bitchel as Noisav Leisisno Aretz Malaret Zima, the Chas Shalom to be with the daughters, and anyway. Amalei Bakapar Ibiki Kinyana Kedma, do exactly what you did before, get your wife to pour a kais for me. But Rebbe did that. Amalei dance in front of me. Now, what does Zima stand for? Zumahi. Who is this? Who's the father of his child? If a woman is with multiple men, if she's mizana with multiple men, so Zimahi, Zumahi. Who is this? Who's the father? We don't know. We guys, we know that the son's our son because Roiv Bias Holchamacha Habaila. That's the only reason. Right? We know, but not shanking here. There's no Roiv. So anyway, Layachel ben Alasal and Misbal ben Alasal, the son-in-law of Rebbe, could not go through see this bizyonin since Rebbe was undergoing Kom v'nafiku in Sasim Itaman. Him and his wife got up and they left. Again, very hard to explain what again Kapara felt was funny. It's beyond my reasoning what's going on over here. It's just this strangest thing. Okay, now, my Ben Elasa, you said he was rich. Tell me how rich he was. What did he do with his money? Tanya, loyalchinam pisa Ben Elasa esm oisav. He didn't go ahead and Ella. He did it l'shem shemayim. Laharis behen. He used his money to spoirish al kohen gadol, to show the haircut of a kohen gadol. It says a pasuk in Yecheskel. The pasuk says roishim lo yigalechu. You shouldn't. The kohen gadol should not cut his hair. Upera lo yishalechu. You shouldn't grow his hair. Kasam yechmsu es rashem. You should trim his hair. And what's the trim? The kohen gadol's hair was a special haircut, guys. Very, very unique haircut. And he spent his money on the barber who could go ahead and do this. And he would have it done to himself to illustrate what. Again, this is well after the Churban bias. The kohen gadol was no longer in practice, but he would go ahead, that it shouldn't be forgotten. He would go ahead and have it done to him. And what was it? Tana. Okay, Lulyonis. My Lulyonis. It says that the disperse of the kohen gadol haircut was compared to Lulyonis. On Rabbi Huda, Tisporta Yichidasa. It's mamish. It's uniquely special. There's nothing like it. Hechidami. What is example? Amarava Roisha Shalzeh B'Tzadiku Shalzeh. The hair was so perfect that when the hair would go down, the length of one hair would end by the root of the other, and consequently, each one. To have each hair, think about how many hairs you have in your head, right? And you go ahead and it's matched up perfectly with the root of the other one overlying. The Hainu Tispar Shel Kohen Gadol, and that is the Tispar of the Kohen Gadol. The Mishnah concluded, Ubidlas Harim Amutza, someone makes a neder to not from a tafshil, that he's not going to eat a tafshil, a cooked food, he's mutter in a gourd remutza. Gemara is asking, my delas remutza, what is this las remutza that if you make a noidim in a tafshil, you're permitted to eat it? No, it's not considered a cooked food. What is it? So Amashmuel, it's kora karkuzai. It's a gourd from a place called karkuzai. It's a type of gourd. So it has nothing to do with the way it's cooked, but it has to do with where it's from. That it's karkuzai, and it doesn't cook well, and therefore it's not b'chal tafshil. It doesn't cook well. And Rav Ashi Yamano, the last hatmuna beremetz. It's a gourd, a regular gourd, but it's immersed in ish. It's you take hot ish and you cook with hot ish, so that's not considered a tafshil. So according to Shmuel, it's a unique gourd, and according to Rav Ashi, it is a normal gourd, and the difference is the way it's cooked. That a tafshil is not considered something cooked in hot ash. Okay, we're going to slug up Rav Ashi, guys. Says the Gemara, Esvei Ravino Rav Ashi, Ravino says Rav Ashi, and Nechemi Omer, the last Aramis, the last from Aramis, the last Hamitzvus. It's the same thing as an Egyptian gourd. Kalayim im hayavanis. So it is considered kalayim if you go ahead and crossbreed it with a Greek gourd. Kalayim im haramutza, and it's kalayim if you crossbreed it with a ramutza. So if you're telling me ramutza is a regular gourd that's cooked, why is it kalayim? Well, if you tell me it's karkuzoi like Shmuel, obviously that just like Yavanis is considered what? With the mitzvahs is considered a mixture, so too karkuzoi. So therefore it's a raya to Shmuel. It's a raya to Shmuel that it's a special, unique gourd from a certain place, and the Kasher Rav Ashi who said it's a normal gourd cooked in a unique way. The tiyufta on Rav Ashi is a tiyufta on Rav Ashi. Okay, we went through basically the rule of thumb is by Nedarim we go after Lashon B'nei Adam. By Nedarim we go after Lashon B'nei Adam, right? So whatever a person feels is whatever a person has in mind when he makes the neder, that is exactly what it is. Now, I heard a beautiful shot, guys. It was bothering me very much. If you look at the Rambam, he should not bring down any of these halachas. He should just simply say, by Nedarim, you go after Lashon B'nei Adam. And whatever the people are in the Zman that they are, that is what a neder is. In other words, like we said yesterday, if you make a neder from cooked food, you any food. You don't make a distinction between barbecue, charcoal, smoke. It's food. We know what we mean. So why would this be brought down la halacha? Because you open up a Shulchan Aruch Hanoidim and I'm a vushal, this is included. But l'chayr has nothing to do with maybe let's say people at the time would go ahead and say, but this is not. So the Radva says that this whole parak is for if you do not have a minig that this is called this way. In other words, if you don't know what cooked food is in your place, then it's not broiled food. But in a chinami, in your place, if it's broiled food, it's broiled food. And sli would be usser. This parak is describing a place, according to the Radvaz, the Superior on the Rambam, is describing a place that you don't have, there is no Lashon B'nei Adam. This is setting a Lashon B'nei Adam where there is no Lashon B'nei Adam. But in a chinami, if you would go ahead, and you would call a gourd in cooked any which way, then it would be part of the neder. Because again, the rule of thumb is the neder is what you had in mind. What you have in mind is how people speak. Because what people speak is how we experience life. And whatever we experience in life, that's what it is. So it's very interesting that, again, you open up Shulchan Aruch, Hanoidim Min Avushal, this is included. And what about Bisman Hazev? It's not included. In Achinami, it's not included. This whole Shulchan Aruch was written for what? For a place that didn't have a set Lashon and Makom. It's a very nice pshat, guys. It answered something that was always bothering me, that this is all a moot point. Shouldn't be anything. So now the rest of tonight's staff is going through different foods that is part of a neder or not, depending upon the neder. So now, Hanoidim in Maisa Kedera, someone goes ahead and is Noidim in Maisa Kedera, and Oyser Elam in Maisa Resachta. It's only Oyser Maisa Resachta. What's Maisa Resachta? Keep your finger on the ran on the left side. That's Maisa Resachta. The Farsh Yerushalmi Eza Maisa Resachta Kegoin Chilka Targim Betisni. These are all different types of grains, soiles, flour, v'oires, millet, zarid, v'arsin. Behind the comment, Eino Oyser Ella Mimaisa Resachta, Menikla Resachta, Hashem Shetzorach Larsiach Lebashal Habe. All these grains required a tremendous amount of boiling up. So therefore, this when you say Anoida Maisa Kedera, you mean is Maisa Resachta, things that require boiling, primarily grains. Ama Koinim Hayoyer the Kedera, Sheini Toyim, or Koinim that goes down to the goes down to the pot. Asa b'chol nasa b'kedera, then you'd be usher and everything from the pot. Tanya says the brisa hanoidim in ayorid lekedera asa b'yorid leilfis. Now it seemed to be often they would we might do the opposite. They would fry after they would bake. They would fry it. In other words, they'd put it in a pot. They'd cook it, and then they'd fry it. So memela, if you go ahead and make a neder from something that goes down to the pot, you'll be usher in going down to the ilfis, because to the frying pan, because that's what normally they do. However, shekvayori l'kadera kodim shari ilfis. You know why? Because before, in other words, if you make a neder not to have enough from one, you're usher in two, because to get to two, you had to go through one, right? You understand? So the same thing over here. It's your usher in yori l'kadera ilfis number two, because you had to get to number one before you got to number two, and number one is usher. However, hayor min ilfis, if you learn from number two, anything that's necessarily in the frying pan, mutter b'yor l'kadera, because you only said two, you didn't say one. However, min anasa m'kadera, then mutter b'nasa b'ilfis. You said something that's made in a kadera, then you be mutter something that's made in a frying pan. And nasa b'ilfis, mutter b'nasa b'kadera. They're two separate things. Hanoidim min hayor l'taner. Someone makes a neder that something that goes down to an oven. That's usually made in an oven. They use pas. Again, their ovens, they made pita, guys. They used to go ahead and stick it to the walls. They like if in the old, I don't know. In Eretz Yisrael, I saw in the Bukharian quarters, the guy who makes pita the old way, takes and sticks it to the walls of the oven. I don't know if how they do it bisman as that. I don't think so. It's much more commercial, I'm sure. V'mama kol ma'aser taner alai. And if you say any ma'aser of the oven, then asr b'chol ma'aser b'taner, you'll be asr on everything that's in a taner on the base. Okay, you make a neder that you're not going to have a no min ha-kavush. Let's focus on the hay, the pickle. Ein oiser element ha-kavush. Now, kavush usually is something that sits in chometz. It sits in vinegar. It sits in something. Lehalacha, anything that sits 24 hours in something, it's kavush kamavushal. It would be considered kavush, even let's say it's in some other liquid, even though it's not vinegar. But stam kavush is vinegar. So hanoidim in kavush, you ein asa element kavush shel yerek. Usually it means a vegetable. However, hanoidim min kavush stam shani toyim asa b'chol hakvushim. Then you'll be asa in all pickled items. Now the chilik between the first lashon and the second lashon is twofold. In the first lashon he said the hay. In the second lashon he did not say the hay. The hay is the hay hayediyah, the specific one. So what is the specific? If I would say the word pickle to you, right in mind comes pickles, right? The first thing that comes to your mind, herring, pickle. You say, what is this, Family Feud? You say pickle. What do you mean? I say pickle. I think again, some people. I think of pickles. Okay, you think of herring, whatever it is. It's really not. Dog. We're going to see dog is a little different. So. Ha is be specific. You be limiting to one thing. So therefore, what's the one thing? Vegetables, pickled vegetables. However, if you say pickled stam, not the pickled, then it will be that there's another pshat. It's also because it said shani toyim. In the first lashon, it didn't say shani toyim. In the second lashon, you said shani toyim. Okay, so according to the pshat of hakavush, then the shani toyim is lavdafka. Bin ashaluk, something that's cooked and not cooked. You're speaking about meat, you're not speaking about anything else. Shaluk shani toyim, you don't say hashaluk, you just say shaluk. Asa b'chol shlukim, you be asa then all things that are half cooked. Okay, let's just see it around for a second, 3 lines down. The kimish iskiru beloy hay, since you mentioned it without the hay, kol kavish b'mashma, it's mashma any pickle thing. Udiktani shani toyim lavda, and therefore when you said shani toyim, doesn't mean anything. Mishum loy amar shani toyim loy mitzvah b'chalak vushim. The vaday kivin amar kavish mitzvah b'kulay. In other words, you could have said koinim kavish alai. Koinim kavish alai. Once you said the word kavish and not the hay, so the shani toyim doesn't accomplish anything. If you would have said kavish, if you would have said kavish koinim kavish alai, it'd be the same thing because you didn't say the hay. Another pshat, right? Inami, and where's the other pshat? Go down a little bit. This the mefarshi. No difference between the hay and not the hay. El seifa, the chilik is the end. The tani mishum dekamar shani toyim. Since you said shani toyim that I taste, that incorporates all pickled things. Okay, so we have 2 pshatim. Let's say the first thing is what if you say hakavush stamazoi, you only usher in vegetables. If you say kavush shani toyim, then you usher what? In anything that's kavush, good anything. What's the reason? According to the first pshat, it's the hay that does the job, and the shani and the lashon shani toyim doesn't mean anything. According to the second pshat, it's the shani toyim that does the job, and there's no difference between the hay and the not a hay. Who are in the same thing by sholok and not sholok? Says the Gemara. Only Rav Acha b'reider Rav Avil Ravashi, Omar dikavush. Now in Aramaic, the dalet is like a hay. So let's say you said dikavush mai, the sholok mai, the tzoli mai, the maliach mai. Heichen, what's the mashma? Says the way tiboi, and in Nedarim, tiboi means teku. It means like we don't have an answer to the question. Continuing along our menu, minat sli. You say that that you're asking minat sli. That sli usually means broiled, right? Broiled in fire. Ein aser element minat sli shel basa. Sli means meat. Divrei Rabbi Yehuda. No one's roasting vegetables. I know some people roast vegetables, and some people make roasted mushrooms. They tell me it's good. I'll give you a hint. It's a guy with a background of a kaisel there. Anyway, so sli ain't aser minat sli shel basa. Sli you mean meat. Divrei Rabbi Yehuda. Sli shani toyim. Okay, now it says that sli. So again, the same difference, guys. Hot sli or the we out at sli. Then asa b'cholat sliyim. Then be asa even in the mushrooms. When you eat those portobello mushrooms, right? You won't be able to eat them. Min hamaliach. If a person says stam from salted, ein iser ela min hamaliach shel dag. You mean herring. But you call pickled herring, they call it salted herring. You know, they would salt fish because salt would take out all the yuch. I mean, for some people it remains yuch no matter how much is salted, right? The good stuff. Anyway, element maliach shel dag. Then, however you say maliach shani toyim, you don't say the hay, and you say shani toyim. Then asa b'chol meluchim, you be asa in all salted preserved foods. Dag dogim. You say a double lashon, dag dogim shani toyim, asa behen, then you be asa ben gedolim ben ketanim. Because a dog, guys, the Rav says mashma one big one. The Ran says dogim is mashma like fishes or like fish, right? So that would be many small ones. Bein meluchim bein tefelim, it doesn't make a difference if they're salted. It doesn't make a difference if they're not salted. Bein chaim if they're raw. Bein mevushalim if they're cooked. Umuta betrist trufa. You'd be permitted in fish to hack the fish. They would take fish, they would hack it up. That's called a fish called taris, and trufa, it was hacked up. Ubit seer, you'd be permitted in the seer is the stuff that comes out of the fish. And hanoidim had sanchana, someone who makes the neder from sanchana, also that's chopped fish. Then also b'taris trufa, you'd be also in that fish. Umuta bit seer umurius, you permitted in seer, the moil that comes out of the fish. Umurius is the broth that it's cooked in. Hanoidim matches trusa, then muta. Let's change the gears. So muta b'tzir b'morius. Tanya Reb Shimon ben Elazar omer dag shani toyim asa b'gedolim umuta b'ketanim. If a person says dag shani toyim, the lashon singular lashon, you'd be asa to eat big fish, but be muta to eat small fish. Sardines would be on the menu. Daga shani toyim. If you say the word daga shani toyim, then asa b'ketanim umuta b'gedolim. It'll be asa in small ones because dogim is mashma more than one, and muta b'gedolim. Dag daga, what about both of them? Shani toyim, then asa bein b'gedolim b'ketanim, you be asa in all species of fish. Only a popular abaya. Did dag shani toyim gadol who? We said that means it's a gadol. How do you know, guys? We're going the premise. Dag means big. Daga means small. Where do you know that dag means big? The chsiv it says by Yona, by Yiman Hashem dag gadol levloya es Yona. Prepare the dog. Go ahead and swallow Yona. It says dag, so it says dag. It's much more big fish. I've accepted Yispal Yona el Hashem elakav mimei had daga. And dog is mashma small. So only kasha. Maybe he was spit out by a huge fish and he was swallowed up by a bigger fish, but it's smaller than the previous one. And it says by the Mitzrayim and the daga that when the yard died. Now you're telling me daga means only small? In the Nile by the Makas Dam, I assume all fish died, no matter how big they were. It says daga, so you can't tell me it's limited to small fish. El daga mashma gedolim mashma ketanim, u'medorim aholach achlashim neyadam. So daga can mean either big or small. Not a kasha from Yaina, not a kasha from Makas Dam. And by Nedarim, you go after Bnei Adam. But Bnei Adam called Daga small. They call Daga small. That's what it is. So you can't bring many rayas from the Torah nor from the Viyam. Hanoidim in Tzachanda said that's Gahak the fish. Amalei Ravina Ravashi. Ama Hare Alai Tzichin. What's the dinner? Person says it's upon me Tzichin. Does that include everything? Mai? Versus Tiboy, that would remain a Shaila. Okay, we'll stop over here tomorrow morning. Big famous run over here. We're going to learn a lot of Hilchas Tarubas tomorrow to get people interested. We're going to learn a lot of Yeridea tomorrow. Hilchas Tarubas. Anyway, I wish everyone a good evening. Thank you for listening. Stay